tonight it's an opportunity to me to thank Alex and his family for their guidance in the last 38 years. It is what I like to give, and not just a toast, but also a bit of a reminiscing about the good time we have shared together. With that, let me say, let's go back to the beginning of time. I don't mean the Big Bang, but for me, the beginning of time seemed to be when I first met Alex, which was in 1979 in Seattle, in junior high school. One day, someone came to me and said, "Hey, we just have a Russian commie came to our class." Wow, a Russian commie, that's cool. Obviously that was not quite the truth. Alex is neither a commie or a Russian, but what do you expect? This is Seattle in 1979. But at the beginning, Alex seemed to be very quiet. He didn't talk much, and he was sitting all the way on the other side of the classroom, so I didn't get to really meet him. One day, I mustered enough courage to walk over and, lacking a better opening line, I say, "Hi Alex, I heard you from Russia. Could you tell me how you say hello in Russian?" And he mumbled something like, "Привет." I said, "Oh, okay. How about thank you in Russian?" "Спасибо." And I also felt kind of, meaningless, so I started asking what I really wanted to know, which is, "Alex, what do you think about communism?" And then I could see his eyes open up wide, and he said, "It is the most worthless, self-deceiving, oppressive, and unjust form of political system ever invented in the humankind." Okay. Strangely, that might sound extreme to you, but for me, someone who came from another communist country, namely Vietnam, it was a very sweet and endearing statement. Having to march in parades where you have these red scarves around your necks and shouting communist slogans, I understood exactly what he was saying. It is one of the most terrible political system ever invented. From that day, what a psychologist would say, a poetic bond formed between us. We became kind of inseparable. We took all the electives together. We sit in all the classes together, always talking. In fact, we were quite annoying to the teachers because we would argue incessantly in classes. Some of the argument makes sense because about politics, current affairs, but some of them strangely have to do with why the Israeli pilots are the best of the world, why the Israeli army is the best of the best. And I didn't realize the significance of it until many years later when he first came to me and said, "Alex, I met this great woman." I said, "Oh, okay, well, tell me about it." "Well, she's not only a gorgeous blonde, but she's extremely smart. She's doing a PhD at Berkeley. She's such an expert that even the Israeli government seek her advice all the time." And by the way, that was the punchline. She knows how to use an M16. So, anyhow, Alex and I, we agree that our school, unfortunately, was populated by uninformed people who didn't understand what grave danger America was facing, what he called liberals. So we went on a mission to try to convert some of these people, to make sure America is great. And we even tried to convert some of the teachers to become less liberal. Alex actually asked one of the teachers, "Could you become a bit less liberal?" It didn't seem to work very well. But in any case, it didn't stop us from trying. And I think we did a pep rally for the Young Republican Club. Unfortunately, only 2 people signed up. One of them asked us whether or not there will always be cookies and soft drinks served at these rallies. So, you know, it didn't work out that well. But to make a long story short, what was happening was that by hanging out with Alex and by arguing with him all the time about politics and current affairs, I was getting tired of losing all these arguments. So I have to go study these things, you know, kind of learn about them to become smarter so I can argue with them. And in a way, it took me on a different path and way beyond my comfort zone. I was mostly a science geek who wanted to go to Caltech and become a researcher. But by hanging out with Alex, I learned a lot more about life. And one of the things that he also got me involved was art history. Even though he was telling Mr. Sherrick that she was too liberal and wrote a paper on why America cannot be a paper tiger, she still agreed to give him private lessons in art history. I agreed to tag along because I like all the naked art pictures. But after a while, you know, I actually learned a lot about art, all the symbolisms and, you know, all the cool things about perspective and whatnot. And later on, I went on to take an art course in college. It really expanded my horizon. You know, Western art was something I knew nothing about, coming from a small town in Vietnam. And I really appreciate the opportunity to learn about it. It really changed how I view art later in life. The other thing was that by hanging out with Alex, I got a chance to meet his parents. I still remember one day I was at Alex's house and Alex's dad, Boris, asked me, "Charles, I really encourage Alex to learn about the stock market and investing. Do you know anything about that? Do you have similar interest?" I remember looking at him and asked, "What is a stock, Mr. Slutsky?" And Mrs. Slutsky, Rita, was always extremely welcoming. Every time I go over to Alex's house, my head was thinking about, you know, great food and copious volume of great food. In fact, I think I learned about caviar at Alex's house, and it became a very bad habit later in life. But it's really by hanging out with Alex and his family that I really expand my horizon and enrich my personal development. And for that, Boris, Rita, thank you very, very much. I'd like to share one last story. In my family, in the Young household, we have this tradition of telling stories every weekend. My kids request that I make up a story every weekend. I can't just read from Harry Potter or Rick Riordan. And one story that they really liked was called Kung Fu Snails. It's a story I made up, and it's kind of mashed up between The Monkey King and Lord of the Rings. So what it is I make up this fictional story in which there are 3 snails. They banded together and went to the Shaolin Temple in China to learn about Kung Fu. After that, they decided to embark on an adventure to go to India, to the birthplace of the Buddha, to find the 3 lost treasures of the Buddha. Along the way, of course, you would imagine they have to deal with fire-breathing lizards and bandits and demons. When at long last they reached their destination, they were disappointed to find out there was no treasures. There was no fountain of youth. It was just a hoax or a ploy made up by bandits to lure them to their demise. They, of course, defeated the bandits, but in the process, they realized they found something priceless after all. And that was the friendship that they forged on this journey. When I think about some of the books that really appealed to me in the past, when you think about Lord of the Rings, for example, what did Frodo get from saving Middle Earth and delivering the ring to Mordor, other than a lost finger. And but he couldn't have done it without his friends. And at the end of the series, he was able to sail away in the sunset with all his friends, kind of a group of men, elf, and dwarfs. So, so the significance of this is that, you know, life is a journey. I'm very lucky and fortunate to have shared the last 38 of the last 50 years with Alex, and I look forward to the next 50 years. So with that said, let me say that I'm glad and grateful to have this friendship from Alex, and for all of you who are on this journey of life together with Alex. Whatever you may find along the way, bandits, or lizards, goblins, or dragons, whatever you might find at the end, I think we ought to cherish the journey along with Alex. Thank you very much.